Switching gears now, it's Work Zone Awareness Week. In 2018, over 750 people died in work zone accidents in the U.S., and 27 of them were here in Alabama. When driving in a work zone, slow down, pay attention, and share the road. Work zones are always marked with cones and signs. In February, 4 Decatur Utilities employees were injured when a driver crashed into their work zone.
They actually crashed through the message board. He crashed through another truck, wound up pushing that truck into a bucket truck. Two of them are still recovering from those injuries. So this can be a very severe thing, and we're blessed that we weren't having funerals after that week because it very easily could have killed them.
One of the biggest safety concerns for roadside workers is speeding.